I'm Cheryl Bodkins, a licensed professional counselor at Timberlake Counseling and counseling minister here at Timberlake Christian Church. We are continuing our Weeds in the Garden series. This week we're looking at suicide and self-harm, a very serious topic to consider. Most suicides come from suffering or a means to end the suffering. Interesting, suicide also has roots connected to our social interactions. Emily Durkheim labels 4 types of suicide, where one might feel alone or not connected to a social group. Another may be overcommitted and sacrifice themselves for a group. A third may find stress and frustration due to the lack of social regulation, and we see this as a very common form. And lastly, those who have strict regulations on them, where they have little or no power of choice. All of these are seeking suicide as a means of escape. We must consider that our social interactions do not determine our value in this world, and it does not determine whether we should live or die. However, our experiences of real or perceived hardships of loneliness may impact one's view of the value of their life. Psalm 116:3 says, "The cords of death entangle me. The anguish of the grave came upon me. I was overcome by trouble and sorrow." God has more to say. Psalm 68:20 says, "Our God is a God who saves. From the sovereign Lord comes escape from death." And Jesus reminds us in 18:12, "He is the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but I will have the light of life." Thoughts about suicide and death and self-harm are all from a dark place. Help shine a light in that dark place. Methods of suicide vary, but most common for males is by gun, and for females is by death of overdose of pills. We know also that suffocation is the second leading cause of death by suicide. Individuals who have a plan are at most risk for carrying out their thoughts about suicide, and it's good to evaluate for that. In 2020, it is reported that the age group with the highest death count from suicide is ages 25 to 34. This is from the Suicide Prevention Resource Center. However, we do see an increase of adolescents with suicide rates. Many believe that asking someone if they are having thoughts about suicide will cause them to start having these thoughts. That is absolutely not true and a very big myth. They are already having these thoughts. You asking actually sheds light into the thoughts, and it provides an outlet to connect with them. Like Jesus, you can shine a light into their dark place. Asking directly is so important. Are you thinking about killing yourself, or are you having thoughts about suicide? So I want you to take a moment now and pause to say these out loud, as awkward as it feels. Are you thinking about killing yourself? Are you having thoughts about suicide? Again, it is an awkward question we don't feel comfortable with saying out loud. But working to overcome our discomfort in this question can help us walk alongside another who is suffering and bringing a light into the hard thoughts that they are having, and they're keeping them in the dark. The thought of death brings a sense of relief for some too. But they really don't want to die. They just know that they will have a peace from the suffering they are experiencing. And even Christians may desire for death to find a peace that heaven promises in eternity. Others may have obsessive thoughts about death, but also do not desire to die. This happens. And addressing these appropriately is of most importance, and with support of professional help to help discern the suicidal ideation. Here are some signs and symptoms to watch for, but this is not an exhaustive list, even though it is pretty long. Ongoing sadness, hopelessness, talking about suicide or death. Noticing someone is getting their affairs in order or giving stuff away. You may see changes in their behavior like eating and sleeping. Bullying may be happening, depression, or even anxiety and stress with pressures in their life. Loneliness, withdrawal, extreme anger, and alcohol and substance use. We would call these risk factors as well: financial strain, job loss, death of a loved one, prior suicide attempt, chronic diseases or illnesses, social isolation, knowing a close family member or friend who has died by suicide, if they have access to lethal means, or there's an increased use of substances. Something to consider are the protective factors, however, that we can lean into that are strengths to help an individual navigate any suicidal thoughts, or they may not have them at all. That is access to behavioral and mental health treatment. Faith in religion is a very big protective factor. Self-esteem with a sense of purpose in life, connectedness and support, life skills, and if there is access to lethal means, that we have put in protective measures with this. That would look like putting locks on firearms or storing them away in a safe, storing ammunition separately from the firearms so that it is not kept loaded or with easy access to load it. Also, medications may need to be monitored when taking or locked between uses, and this could help an individual with those preventive measures. We could also implement other preventive measures to keep someone safe if they have outlined a plan and we know that we need to implement some strategies. One of the best resources, however, in dealing with suicide is talking about it, verbalizing our own thoughts if we are having those suicidal thoughts, and if someone verbalizes them to us or we're noticing the signs and symptoms, that we bring that into the light and we have those conversations. I encourage you to find good support around you to help you overcome the isolation with thoughts as you seek professional help and support around you. Finding balance by seeing value in your life based on your Creator's view over the social discomforts and suffering is very important. Another resource I am so grateful for is 988. Dial it, 988. It's like 911 for a medical emergency, but 988 is for a mental health crisis, and more specifically, suicidal crisis. You may call for yourself, text, as you can see, and chat 988. You may also call if you are sitting with someone who is struggling with this crisis of suicidal or non-suicidal self-harm. Through this line, they will walk with you through the moment of crisis and assist you to the next level of help. In our area, we have several mental health counselors and behavioral health services like us here at Timberlake Counseling. We have created a list for you in our resource that is connected to this video. There are many hospitals that are available as well. Our Moberly Hospital works with 55 and up, but our Columbia hospitals work with children, adolescents, and adults of all ages. We also have a 24/7 crisis center at Boral Behavioral Health at Columbia. This is a newer resource, and so I wanted to take a moment to mention it here as well. And they work with adults and adolescents. Of course, seeking God and asking for the Holy Spirit to help you with your negative thoughts and to keep you during this time is a great protective factor. Non-suicidal self-injury, or as most of us know it, self-harm, is a growing area of concern and worthwhile to mention here as well. It can quickly turn into a safety issue or a medical emergency. However, most individuals who experience self-harm desires are not wanting to die. There are a variety of reasons for self-harm. It is an outcry for emotional upheaval expressed in a behavioral way of harming oneself. It can look like the common form of cutting. Most of us are familiar with that, and that typically is on the wrist. However, we know that cutting on the body occurs in other places, and checking for that is very important. Burns, picking, hitting the head, either with a hand item or a head to the wall or floor, are other ways of methods for self-harm or self-inflicting wounds. It brings pain to feel something when emotions are numb, and it also may create more or different pain when other pain is hard. It may be a release, an outlet of release for pent-up suffering of any kind. It is important to parents and others not to overreact as you discover these areas. Many times we do. It comes from a genuine place of caring about your loved one. However, for both self-harm and suicide discovery, it will be most helpful for you as the caregiver or support person to remain as calm as possible. They are already dealing with chaos on the inside, and your treatment with shame and punishment will not be of benefit to them. Suicide or self-harm individuals need a listening ear that can bring discernment and reason and light to their life in that darkness. An example that's given in mental health first aid that I teach is that helpers are like a duck on the water. On the inside, we'll be paddling furiously like the duck fins under the water. But on the outside, being calm, like the duck looks like it's floating freely on that water. Taking suicidal thoughts seriously is very important, and addressing self-harm in appropriate ways will help individuals get to the root of the darkness in their life. You can again find more resources at counselingtlcc.com and with the links from this video to help you with that. Remember 988 as well. And as a Christ follower, our helper, the Holy Spirit, is ready to help as we call upon him. Deuteronomy 30:19 reminds us, I have set before you life and death. Now choose life. Until next time, may you seek his face and bring light into your life and the life of others. Blessings.